Well, did you hear the latest? Diddy's been busted for hooch for moonshine at Fort Dix. His prison sentence, Diddy, prison moonshine. Oh, my God. And what about the real story, the media's manufactured fall? The real story behind the headlines. Listen up, kiddies. Diddy just got thrown back into the media meat grinder once again because they just can't get enough of him. They want to see this guy fail and fail big. And once again, the loudest voices are the ones with the least understanding of what the hell actually happens inside a federal lockup. Now, the headlines scream relapse, and the pundits snarl failure, and the usual vultures circle overhead. But behind the noise sits a bigger truth about the prison system, the celebrity circus, and the way America treats any man who dares to rebuild himself under impossible conditions. This story is not about a slip of jailhouse brew, some hooch. It's about power, pressure, and the factory that turns human beings into public targets for profit. Oh, yeah. You see, when TMZ broke the story that Diddy was caught drinking inside FCI Fort Dix, people pounced before they even finished the first paragraph. The public loves a downfall, especially his, because they're not done with him yet. It loves the idea that a famous man who talked about change could not live up to his promise. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. See, it satisfies something primal. It lets people declare victory over someone who once sat at the top of the world. But here is the blunt truth that few in the media understand. Homemade alcohol exists in every unit of every low-security federal prison. It's a fact. It is not a scandal. It's a routine failure of confinement. Inmates create this brew from apples, sugar, leftover juice, and in this case, Fanta. See, they hide it in bags under beds or behind lockers. They bury it in trash bins lined with plastic. They store it in warm air vents to help fermentation. It's not a mark of moral collapse. It's a symptom of the boredom and frustration that define prison life. And it's always been like that. Anyone who's worked inside the system knows this. Wardens know it. Public defenders know it. Even prosecutors know it. Though they pretend, otherwise when the cameras roll. Oh, I'm shocked. So, excuse me. So when TMZ reported that Diddy had some makeshift booze or hooch or liquor or whatever it was, some moonshine, it wasn't evidence of a celebrity spiraling. It was evidence that he is living the same reality thousands of inmates face every day. And people crave control and comfort in places designed to remove both. Do you think if Ghislaine Maxwell was hitting the sauce, you would have heard about it? No, because she's different. Why? I'll let you do the math. Now, some folks there turn to workouts, some turn to religious groups, some turn to legal research, and some turn to television marathons. Some turn to moonshine, to hooch. None of this is surprising for anyone who's ever spent any time inside a federal yard or has been connected with it. Now, the next layer of the story involved a supposed plan to move Diddy to another unit. According to TMZ again, funny how they're always there, officials considered relocating him, but later reversed the decision. Again, this is ordinary. Federal prisoners run on rumor and reflective thinking and reactive thinking. And a guard hears something, a counselor hears something else. A lieutenant decides to act before talking to anyone. Then the unit team meets and decides the issue is too small for a transfer, maybe too big. But these internal shifts are not proof of special treatment. They're proof of a kind of a clunky bureaucracy that changes direction and changes course several times a week, if not a day. And notice the detail that really matters. When TMZ reached out, the prison responded with a standard line that it had no information to provide. Now look, you know and I know that response is not a shield for a major scandal. It's a tell. If Diddy had committed a serious violation, he would have been placed in the SHU, special housing unit, while the facility completed an incident report. That would have leaked within hours because inmates talk. Staff talk, families talk, lawyers talk. None of that happened. None. Instead, what we have instead is a small, even inflated event turned into a national morality tale. Come on. Look, the media loved to present Diddy's letter to the judge as proof he was pretending to be sober. They drag out the line where he said, "The old me died in jail." They call it theatrical and self-serving. Okay, fine. But they also ignore the reality that recovery in incarceration is not a straight line. It's not a switch. It's a daily challenge that involves fear, regret, guilt, and even emotion that confinement intensifies. And if you've never been a part of it, you have no idea what this means. See, people relapse early in sobriety. It happens to regular people. It happens to a lot of people. It happens to celebrities. It happens to inmates who have no fame and no money. A slip does not make someone a fraud. It makes someone human. Remember this? And the public, as you can imagine, rarely sees how the chaotic first months of incarceration can be. A man enters a federal institution, a prison, a jail, whatever. With a head full of panic, he freaks out. He doesn't know whom to trust or whom to avoid. He doesn't yet understand the routines. He doesn't know which staff members enforce every rule and which staff members let small infractions pass. It's a system within a system within a system. He doesn't know the social hierarchies of the unit. He doesn't know how to move through the day without stepping on invisible tripwires. See, this confusion is hardest for high-profile inmates because everyone watches them. Every gesture carries meaning. Every mistake becomes content for possible consumption. And this is the most important. That is what happened when TMZ again published photos of Diddy walking in the yard. The public examined the pictures like forensic scientists. He looked serious, then he looked relaxed, and then he looked entertained by some conversation between other inmates. Well, what do you want? What did they expect? People outside the system forget that inmates laugh. They forget that the yard is one of the few places where a man can actually breathe without constant supervision. And the laughter, that's right, the laughter in those images wasn't evidence of arrogance. It was evidence of survival. Maybe laughing to perhaps act calm. Because he was freaked out, as you can imagine. And inside federal yard, the humor becomes one of the last human freedoms. Men laugh because it makes them able to take on the day. It makes the day bearable. They joke because it keeps fear from swallowing them. And they find small pockets of connection between isolation and this world, this weird island of vacuity. This is what they're looking for. This all can be deadly internally, emotionally, spiritually. When people saw Diddy shooting the you-know-what, they misread it as celebrity swagger. It wasn't. It was a man adapting. It was a man doing what every inmate must do to keep his mind from sinking and to not become paralyzed by fear, even him. Look also at the political undertones swirling beneath the story. Look very carefully. Diddy was convicted under the Mann Act, and given a 50-month sentence. The Mann Act has a long and controversial history. It's been used selectively and unevenly since the early 20th century. And it historically carries a moral charge that the media love to exploit. See, once a defendant is tied to the public, it sees them through a filter kind of suspicion. Every move they make is interpreted as proof of some kind of depravity. And that same framing now colors the moonshine story. See, the public assumes guilt that extends beyond the facts of the moment. They know nothing about the side stories, the background of hooch or whatever this rot gut is. This is such a silly story. But this is why the real story is not about alcohol. It's about the system. It's about the way that we portray incarcerated people because we hate them. Because not only do they go through their sentence, and sometimes they're very bad people, but other than that, we love to hate them because it's part of our get tough. We got to get tough. with these prisoners. And then we got to let them loose. And when we let them loose, we make them sometimes worse than anything they were before they went in. And it's about the way the media sees on a minor event and inflate it in a moral verdict. Look, it's about the way the public is trained to think of inmates as characters in a story rather than some group of human beings in difficult conditions. Which brings us to what matters now. Listen carefully. If you find yourself, as do I, as am I, brother, tired of the drive by narratives and the factory-made outrage, then do something simple and rare. Demand truth, demand context, demand that the justice system judge people by patterns, not one-off moments. Stop letting entertainment sites reshape your sense of right and wrong. Learn how prison life really works. Learn how addiction really works. Stand up for the fairness. Stand up for fairness even when the media want a villain. This entire story is a reminder that real justice needs informed citizens, not spectators. So take action, my friends. Break the script. Start telling the truth louder than they tell lies. Remember this. Remember, this man's not a saint, but he's not the devil either. He's not what you think. And the very fact that Diddy has shown this much attention, especially when Ghislaine Maxwell is living the life of Riley. Look what she did. Look what she did compared to him. He had freak-off parties. These are modified orgies, all consensual. Sorry, forget the lube and the Tootsie Rolls and all that kind of jazz. That's what this is about. One more thing, my friends. I've got two great sponsors that are responsible for helping me and helping this channel. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, MyPillow.com/Lionel, and PrepareWithLionel.com, the best emergency food source there is. So go and see for yourself. All of the information is there in the description section. Click on that link and help support us and enjoy some of the greatest products you can ever find for luxuriation and protection when the apocalypse comes. All right, dear friends, thank you so much. Please like this video. Subscribe to Lionel Legal, which is so critical. 70% of the people who watch us don't even subscribe. I don't know why. Have a great and glorious day, my friends. And until then, remember the monkeys. No, that's not it. I've got my show wrong. I've got the wrong valedictory. It's comment as you see fit. Yeah, that's it.